back to another episode of Let's Talk Tanning with Heartland, making salon owners just a little bit smarter and growing with every episode. Today we're talking about Halo Saunas, which is a mix of infrared heat and halo therapy, and how salons can use it to increase revenue, attract new clients that are wellness-minded, and boost memberships, as well as some pitfalls on things to avoid. So we are here today with Lisa Simmerly of Halo Therapy. Hello.
Hello.
Give us a quick definition of Halo Saunas and why salons are loving them.
Well, for whatever reason, I guess I could list a few of them. We seem to be number one in that wellness space with our tanning vertical. Our tanning vertical is such a busy and important vertical for us. And it's the Halo Sauna that I think has really been a mainstay among a lot of the big tanning franchises. And I think some of those thought leaders brought them in with tremendous success. Some of them are actually how we integrated the T-Max to really work for the tanning industry. So I think with just word of mouth and proof of concept in a tanning space to bring in that wellness component, it's just worked well.
So for those that are new to Halo Therapy, explain what that is.
So Halo Therapy's been around for 200 years, backed by 50 years of science, published in the New England Journal of Medicine. So what it is, what they found 200 years ago is that the miners in the salt caves just weren't getting sick at the same rate as the general population. And they started looking at that and studying it and realized that salt therapy had a true therapeutic benefit. What happens is it's kinetically active, pure pharma salt, NaCl, that gets deep into the airway and draws out all that moisture, mucus, and impurity, kills anything in the airway and helps with inflammation. It's great for skin, great for cleansing your aura and energy. So I think that's what salt therapy really is. It's just an all-natural approach to healing that addresses respiratory health. And really, it's the only way to address respiratory health naturally.
So tell us a little bit about how your saunas differ from regular saunas in the market.
Yeah, so it's always a challenge when people compare us to a sauna because we're foundational in salt therapy. So we have a commercial medical grade generator that you put that NaCl or pharmaceutical salt in, and it mills it and pulverizes that salt into that enclosure. And that's really what makes that sauna so special. So yes, we're a sauna, but the sauna component is more of a additive. It's more of a, that's a nice, really nice thing. We're really foundational in the dry salt therapy, but we have the heat component as well.
Today it's really cold here. It would be a fantastic day to climb in one of those and just take a little siesta. So what are the top benefits that clients are seeking in plain non-medical language that salons could use?
Yeah. So they want to breathe better. They want athletes like that better exchange of oxygen. Salt therapy is great for athletes or anybody interested in recovery and recovery from always, like jet lag, being run down. I'm just getting over a head cold. So I can tell you where I've been for the last 5 days. I've been in my salt sauna. So I think that's what people are looking for. The consumer, the member, the guest is looking to feel better, have a strengthened respiratory system. That circulation is, the salt saturates the alveoli so that it's getting to the peripheral muscle so that they're recovering a lot faster, but we're breathing cleaner, we're breathing deeper. When the salt gets up into the upper airways, it helps to liquefy the mucus and helps with the swollen nasal passages. So in some cases, you feel better just in one session. And so I think that's what the consumer and the member is looking for. But I think what the club owner or the tanning facility is looking for is a way to differentiate. So people are bringing saunas into their home. They have a sauna maybe in a facility. They're fairly common and everybody knows what a sauna is. But when you add the true medical dry salt therapy component to it, now it's something that people really see as a differentiator. And it goes so much far beyond. So it's a revenue driver too. And it also brings in additional revenue streams for people that maybe otherwise wouldn't be necessarily seeking out tanning, but they want to come in and utilize some of that wellness. And longevity, anti-aging, all the benefits you get from a Halo sauna that has the salt component.
So how do Halo saunas fit naturally into a tanning salon space? And how do they complement UV and sunless services?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. And again, I think it's such a natural fit in the tanning space. As I said, we have integrated the T-Max interface, so that makes operations a little bit easier. We've also come out with a all-day feeder for the salt. The salt is actually just a couple pennies per session. The all-day feeder allows you to put enough salt in for 2 or 3 days so that operationally it's not something the staff has to add. Cleaning is fairly easy, baking soda water solution between guests. But operationally, it's very minimal maintenance. Our generators are the gold standard, the salt generator. So they'd have lifetime warranties, which is the reason we can offer that lifetime warranties because they're very reliable. So we've sort of really made things easy for staff to minimize the operational side of things and the labor. But yeah, I think that's why we have preset protocols also for the tanning industry. So the other thing is it's one of the true really commercialized saunas that has an all-day runtime, like a 16-hour runtime, which allows you to just keep it heated and then just press a button to add the salt component. So we've thought it all through and we've made sure that it's very easy on staff. As I said, the other thing we do is, I don't want to get on my soapbox, but what I love about what we do is we don't just provide this great piece of equipment that's, we've worked out all the operational side of things, but we also go one better and we really make sure that your staff and your facilities have all that post-sale support. That's the training so that the staff really understands the value proposition for that salt sauna. We make it really easy. For instance, right now, you said it was freezing cold. There's probably some element of winter crud, which we all know what that is, that lingering cough. So we provide those sort of tools that make it more relevant for that member or that guest, which is what keeps you busy. So it's a lot of that sort of support that also make the Halo Sauna and our company in particular a really great company to partner with.
So the salt that it takes, is it some magical, mystical salt that you can only get through you, or is it normal that people could get it other places?
Yeah, you could get it really anywhere. It's just pure NaCl without any additives. So it's just sodium chloride. And we don't want you using Himalayan salt. We don't want you using sea salt or any other kind of salt because we don't want those additives getting into the airways. We just want the pure salt getting into the airway. So salt is actually inspired. It gets into the airway. You're not ingesting it, right? The other thing about the salt that I will mention, and this is sort of hot off the presses, so you're getting a peek into this, is we have come out with the CBD patented pharmaceutical salt, which is phenomenal. We've had that now for a couple years. It's done phenomenal. It feels like you just had a glass of wine. It amplifies all the benefits of the salt therapy, but adds that additional relaxation component. But what we're doing now is that same patent holder is actually infusing supplements, peptides, NAD, glutathione, all of the, ashwagandha, like all of the supplements that we want for recovery and to feel better. So that is coming. And the folks that have our equipment will have access to that for an additional upcharge for anybody looking for those supplements and peptides. So again, that hasn't been formally and officially announced. So here we are on the podcast making that announcement. But anybody that has our equipment, just know some really cool things are coming.
That's cool. You heard it here first, everybody. So I know that we'll get this question with the CBD. Does it contain THC?
No.
Okay, perfect.
Nope.
I know that's always a hotbed question when you start talking about CBD products. So
and
just
we do offer
a
separate cylinder too, if you wanted to purchase and just have folks use a separate cylinder whenever they're using the CBD infused pharmaceutical salt, just to make everybody comfortable with it.
So in addition to the Halo Sauna, you also have two other versions, correct? The Halo Red and the Halo Red O2. Tell us a little bit about those and what makes them different, And then what makes the Halo Red different than the Halo Red O2?
Yes, so those are great questions. And I could feel myself getting excited when you brought that up because I wasn't sure if we were going to talk about the Halo Red O2. It's really the one product that I think will eclipse everything else. It's also T-Max enabled, but here's where it's a little bit different than a Halo. A Halo sauna is awesome. I mean, everybody understands the infrared heat, and there's a lot of things detoxifying, cleaning out the lymphatic system that you get from infrared heat, pain management, on and on. But the patented Halo Red and now patented Halo Red O2, just as O2 is oxygen, has really, I would say, just come onto the scene in a big way because everybody is getting around the idea of medical red light therapy, and everybody wants the greatest and the latest, and it's sort of the Wild West with red light. But with the Halo Red O2, we have the science that backs up that these 4 wavelengths of medical red light are bouncing and bending and refracting off of all that translucent salt crystal in the air. And so it fully encapsulates and engulfs the person in red light therapy, red light energy. A small amount is actually absorbed because it's through the salt, which is a great transport vehicle. So now you're getting really powerful, efficacious medical red light from the ceiling, from all sides. We added an oxygenator, which is a really cool oxygenator. What it does is it sort of filters out the nitrogen and oxygenates the existing air for maximum amount of oxygenated air, which elevates the mood, allows for mental clarity and focus, and then it amplifies what the salt therapy and the red light are doing. So it's, again, saturating the alveoli, really getting the circulation to the peripheral muscle for faster recovery. But the really cool thing is you actually feel like something's happening. So unlike in a red light bed or red light panel, you are feeling the effects of the salt that you subtly taste on your tongue, and you feel the way that oxygen just makes you feel better. So that's the reason I'm excited about the Halo Red O2. The price point is generally, Kristen, half the price of most of the medical red light beds that are out there. And only time we ever get pushback when we talk with folks about, well, should I get a red light bed? Should I get a Halo Red O2? They're like, people like to lay down. Okay, I get that. So for that 15-minute session, you get to lay down. But when you realize sitting up allows the lungs to expand and open, deeper breathing, which you can do breath work sitting up. You can't do breath work when you're laying down. And it allows for a far more efficacious salt therapy session. And then we have guided meditation. So it just, the whole experience is really better when you're sitting up. Then people appreciate that they get to sit up. The other thing I'll add, and then I'll shut up about it because you can tell I'm excited. People say, well, in a red light bed, oftentimes there's a protocol for blue light, which helps with acne and sanitizing the skin and all of that, antimicrobial. And I said, well, you don't need a blue light protocol because you're saturated in salt therapy. Salt therapy tones and balances the skin to that 5.5, takes the inflammation away, helps with the circulation of the skin and turning cells over. It's antimicrobial, antibacterial, so it is phenomenal for acne, aging skin, and really helping with all of those skin conditions like psoriasis and rosacea. We kind of check every box. And by the way, nobody's going in and cleaning that Halo Red O2 at the end of a session. The next guest can just walk right in.
Wow.
Yeah.
That saves a lot of
It checks a lot of boxes.
Well, and I saw on your website, it was really cool with the 2-person and 3-person. There's room where I've seen on your website, they put like an exercise bike in one, yeah, or the lounger, or, there's so many options that you can use other than just, the chair that comes with it.
Correct.
I mean, your options are endless there.
They really are. And the most popular size is probably the single. The only time I think a 2-person makes more sense is if you're putting it in an open floor plan. We have some facilities that put these in their lobby because you can wrap them for complete privacy. You can put all your cool graphics on there, which allow people complete privacy on the inside. A 2-person is nice because it gives you a little bit more space, but it acts like a big billboard and people are drawn to it. So I think that's a really good way to go, but they do excellent in private rooms as well.
All right, so now that we know who it's for, let's talk money and models. How are salons actually pricing this or packaging it in salons?
So the Halo Sauna is priced, they have additional protocols with the T-Max integration. So it's pretty cool. It invites the guest in, it shuts off after that 15 minutes. And that's often what people do is they'll just do that set the protocol for like a 15 or 20-minute session. They leave the sauna on all the time, so it's easy operationally. Folks can get in and out quickly. They're pricing it around $35 for that, let's say 15 to 20-minute session. Tanning industry doesn't really offer those longer protocols most of the time, but if they were, they could charge 45 to 50, even 60 if they have the red light tower as an additional primary modality, class 2 medical red light tower. So that's the way that the Halo Sauna is priced. Obviously, with higher tier memberships, premium memberships, you're going to sell a lot more membership packages. People also do hybrid, where they offer packages in addition to purchasing a higher tier membership, or even offering it as a one-off. So there's different ways that you can do it to give that flexibility. With a Halo Red O2, it's a little bit easier. It's just $35. Again, higher tier memberships, you're going to sell a lot more of them because of the equipment that they can use on a regular basis. And then so it's not really, you don't break it apart as far as you can offer just the red light or just the oxygen or just the salt. So each individual component can be done independently. And that's the case in the Halo Sauna also. But obviously the maximum benefit in a Halo Red is when you have the red light in the presence of that salt. But bad sinus infection, don't want to remove any clothing, and you just want to pop in and just breathe salt for your sinuses, you don't even have to turn the red light on.
So the Halo Red O2, does that also have heat?
No heat, but it will start to those, because there's hundreds and hundreds of LED bulbs coming from all angles. If it's being used back to back to back, I would say it probably runs about 10 degrees warmer than the ambient air it's in.
So what impact are you seeing on average ticket, EFT stability, and client lifetime value?
It goes really back to the education and making sure the staff understand the value proposition of what's there. And again, I've been in the industry for a decade, but I was also an owner operator, and incentivizing the staff. Like, for instance, we work with a lot of big franchises right now, and we're trying to figure out the best way to, the equipment is either, for member retention or it's a profit center. And with our equipment, it's both, but really only to the extent that people understand what's there. And that's the blind spot, not just in tanning, it's the blind spot across fitness and a lot of the verticals. So we're actually building out a platform / portal dashboard for anyone we partner with. They'll have that. They'll have the marketing kit, the assets, the high definition images, the reels that we send to you. We're committing to constant content that keep that why in front of the customer base, and that value proposition to the staff. That we're creating what's called like a leaderboard, because we know if we don't get our staff engaged with sharing and telling and getting people excited about what's there, you're limited, right? You're limited. So people want salt therapy when they understand it, especially when it's most relevant. So that's what we're creating, is this dashboard. The leaderboard is kind of cool. It's not something everybody has to engage in, but it's where the staff is all on this leaderboard. And at the end of a month, who sold the most premium memberships? Who sold the most packages? They're incentivized with some sort of gift card or something. So we're trying to be more creative to actually give the tools to that facility, rather than just say, like everybody does, yes, make sure the staff's educated and engaged. Well, sure. But are they going to be, and what does that look like?
We've been doing a blog series recently on transitioning from UV only into more of a wellness market. And one of the things that we've really talked about is for your staff, the way they speak to customers. Like when you come in, it's not, how long do you want to tan for today? You
Right.
ask leading questions to find out what services best meet their needs. Mm-hmm. So with Halo Therapy specifically, what would be some good questions that somebody behind the counter could ask a guest coming in to help get them interested in learning more about Halo Sauna?
So just being mindful of the season that you're in, whether it's, as I said, the winter crud season where people are just, you can't get warm because your bones are cold and you're run down and you've got a lingering cough. So being aware of what the season is, but also what that customer member may be experiencing. If it's the height of ragweed season, we're all running around with, some sort of hay fever or runny nose. So just understanding enough about the equipment that it really fills and meets a lot of gaps. It's also really good too in the tanning industry because before you get into a tanning bed, it's a really good way to tone and balance and take inflammation away and help prepare the skin for that tan. So just making sure that front desk staff is engaged enough with that customer that they know what's going on, they're aware of the seasonality, and they can make those recommendations.
So what questions could they ask if we're not in the wintertime or allergy season? Say it's just your regular sunny summer day and allergies aren't a factor. What other questions could they ask the client to get them interested in doing it during those seasons?
Yeah. So are they starting any kind of workout routine? Are they running? Are they biking more because it's the summertime? Are they traveling more where they find they're jet lagged, or maybe they're a little bit, run down from a respiratory standpoint? Maybe maybe their eczema's flared up and now we're exposing more skin. Come on in, get in that salt 2 or 3 times a week. You're going to manage that eczema and that psoriasis so you can wear that bathing suit. So those would be really good questions. Yeah. So, what happens is people start really focusing on salt therapy as a respiratory cleanse or respiratory, and it's what it's known for. But when they start to really think about all of the ways that salt is life, it's something that we all need, it helps with all systems work better, then you can, again, the staff understanding enough about what it is and what it's for that make asking those questions easy.
And I love that you offer the marketing to help, because I know that is such a challenge with any new piece of equipment that you bring into a salon. How am I going to market this? And a lot of them are doing their own social media and their own marketing, and they're not coming up with content or creating stuff. Like, they just don't have time. So I think that's fabulous that you guys offer all of that for them.
I do too. It's what my why is today after this many years of being in the industry. And I'm also the president of the World Halo Therapy Association. So you do not have to think about what content you're going to say during a certain season. If you follow the World Halo Therapy Association, the amount of content and reels and information and thought leadership, and I'm committing to even a lot more of it. My daughter is as well. That's the stuff you share and you post. So the community really understands what's being offered at that facility.
A little bit more about
the World Halo Therapy Association. So as I said, I was a owner operator myself back in 2013. I founded the World Halo Therapy Association. It's been now almost 8.5 years in. And I took it back over last year because what I wanted to see happen was a true ability to help anybody that's offering salt therapy. It doesn't matter which company they're offering it from. The other thing it offers is a certified salt therapy course, so that the member can download this course, get the certificate, and let the community know they're offering real dry salt therapy, what's been studied, and not something other than that, not a pink brick on a wall, not wet salt, but true dry salt therapy. The WHA is accredited, so there's courses on red light therapy and sauna and PEMF across all modalities, because that's what salt therapy looks like today in today's landscape. So there's accredited training across all platforms that folks can take the courses on and really start to bolster their own credibility and profile. So there's a lot of stuff that's being offered through the World Halo Therapy Association. I appreciate you asking about it in more detail.
So how much does it cost to get certified?
So it's included with your paid membership. The executive level membership is really what gives you access to everything that you need, including all of the resources, the thought leadership, the data, all of it. It's included in that with your discount, which right now the code is 2026-15, and it's about $170 for the year, and it includes that certification training.
Does that give you just one certification for that person, or does that include you and all of your staff, or how does that work?
So that's a really great question. I get it a lot. So once you've taken the course, it's downloaded in your resource folder. So you can always go back to it and access it, and everybody in the staff can take it. But your staff or your facility would really be collectively trained. Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so before we wrap up, give us the reality check.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that you shouldn't do if you are moving into bringing in Halo therapy?
What you shouldn't do is bring it in and not partner with our company for all the support so that you get your return on investment really quick. And that's my biggest thing is like, don't buy this really awesome piece of equipment that's, could be anywhere from 10,000 for a Halo sauna all the way up to 20,000 for a Halo Red O2. Be prepared to pre-launch it and get people excited about what's coming and what's there. Train your staff. Assign somebody that twice a month cleaning that needs to happen to make sure your little channel on your salt generator doesn't get blocked. Just little things like that. Just be mindful of caring for it, and it's going to care for you and pay back dividends. So that's really what I would say. Probably not the answer you were looking for, but that's what I want people to do.
No, I think that's great. Is there one common mistake that people make that keep them from reaching maximum profitability?
They don't talk about it enough. People want what you're talking about. And when you talk about it when it's most relevant, going back to that front desk staff that you were asking about, what questions are they asking? What season are you in? Just ask a little bit of questions. It's really, I promise you, when people know about it, they want it. It's not a niche market. So that's the biggest thing. You'll be shocked at how often it's booked when you're talking about it. That's a big one. And just make sure, as I said, that you assign somebody to, it doesn't take a lot, but just to make sure that you're managing and cleaning it a couple times a month so it's running optimally. Those are important, but they're also basic things too, but important things.
So I'm one that tracks KPIs religiously in marketing. So what are some key KPIs or markers that salons should track with this?
And again, I love that question because all too often what happens is people get this equipment and then they really have no idea what the usage is like. They really can't tie it back to, because it's in some cases I get it. If it's a value add, it's really, that makes sense. It's hard to, but it is a profit center. So determine, are we going to track the amount of new members that we're getting because of it? Are we going to track the number of packages we're selling? Are we going to track the number of people who go from a standard membership to now that recovery or wellness membership? Let's track that so that we know how often. And I know you guys have ways to really track how often it's being booked and used, but just having it on the front end, making sure you know what you're tracking so you can measure it on the back end.
Last question. Is there anybody that should not use a Halo sauna?
So anybody actively going through chemo really shouldn't be using red light saunas, salt therapy. They really need to speak with their oncologist because it's fighting for the same sort of immune pathways, and we don't want to interfere with that. Anybody who has open sores or wounds, these are obvious ones, right? And anybody who has a high fever. So again, obvious one. If you're pregnant, you should talk to your doctor, but I can say it's very, very safe. And a lot of times women get a lot of benefit from salt therapy because they get super congested when they're pregnant and they can't use this like pseudoephedrine. So that salt therapy will naturally help alleviate all that sinus pressure and congestion that they get. But whenever anybody is with child, we always recommend to speak with their doctor. But pretty much it goes with any other wellness modalities. It's very safe and pairs well with other things. So yeah, high fever is a big one. If you're in the middle of an acute respiratory issue, like you're having an asthma attack, go see your emergency room. Don't go get in your salt therapy sauna. So yeah.
So common sense, basically.
Exactly.
Let's finalize this podcast with, what is your biggest piece of advice for salons?
It's probably just recapping the ad nauseum point that I've you could hear the theme throughout my entire presentation in this podcast, is just making sure you're leaning on the proper resources to make sure that that value proposition is there. You understand it from all angles and you're engaging your staff. Your staff uses it so they can understand what they have and how it benefits them, and then just talk about it.
Love it. Thank you so much for spending time with us today and educating everybody on Halo Sauna. If anybody is interested in learning more, feel free to reach out to Heartland. Our reps are knowledgeable and ready to help you. And again, we work very closely with Lisa. So if you have any questions that we can't answer, we will get the information from her for you as well.
Absolutely. You guys have been fantastic. So I got a chance to meet the reps. They're fantastic. Heartland's awesome. And I just appreciate you. So thank you.
Thank you. Till next time, guys.